Today we'll be discussing with another topic that is Oikopleura. Myself, Febi Paiva, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, St. Joseph's College for Women, Alapura. Oikopleura. When we speak about this organism, we could see that they come under kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Urochordata, and class Appendicularia or Larvaceae. By nature, they are minute in size, they are free swimming, and we could see that they are seen in almost all the seas of the world. Another interesting feature of these organisms is the incomplete metamorphosis, that is, the adult retain the larval characters. So, this class in which they are being present are also known as class Larvaceae. And this phenomenon of incomplete metamorphosis, we could call it by another term that is neoteny. When we speak about Oikopleura, they do not have a usual tunic that we normally expect in the subphylum Urochordata, but then instead they have a massive gelatinous structure. We call it as house. So let's see what is this house. When I speak about this house, as I said, there is massive gelatinous structure, and this structure is the house. And the organism Oikopleura could be seen within this is the organism, and this could be seen within this house. This house is temporary, it is translucent, and it serves certain functions, that is, it is protective, it balances the water pressure hydrostatic in nature, and it also aid the organism with filter feeding. And we can see that the animal moves very freely in this house since it is not firmly attached to the walls of the house. But when disturbed, this organism will abandon the house. Or at the same time, when the food particles get clogged in the filter seen in the walls of the house, they abandon the house. So we can simply say that the house is not permanent, it is temporary in nature. Now, when we come to the filter feeding mechanism, we can see that these are filter feeders and they use the food particles which get filtered from the water current that is passed into the gut. And so for this, they are having amazing type of filter apparatus. And for that, they normally possess two filters which is embedded in the house. So here we could see that the filters are being seen. So this is the filters. Here also there is a filter. So two filters could be seen within the walls of the house. Other than that, the organism also have a filter which is seen attached to its mouth. So altogether three filters could be seen which help them to have a perfect filter feeding. This filters, it is made up of strands of mucus which help them to keep out the large particles and allow only the smaller particles, which is less than 1 micrometer, to enter into the tube, which may lead into the mouth. Now, when we come to the organism, the size of the shape of the organism is almost an oval structure, and the length may vary from 1 millimeter to 4 millimeter, except for the largest Oikopleura dioica, which is 25 millimeter. The body composed of two structures, that is the trunk, oval trunk, and the tail, which is directed anteriorly. So here is the mouth, which we expect to be the anterior portion of the organism. So the tail is directed anteriorly. And the trunk region, it composes of the most of the internal organs. And when we speak about the tail, it is laterally compressed. It is attached to the ventral part of the body towards the back side, that is posterior or the hind end. So this is the dorsal side, this is the ventral side, anterior, and this is the posterior. So it is attached to the ventral towards the hind end. And this tail, it is supported by a notochord, persistent notochord, and it is also having muscle bands. The tail aids in locomotion and also in feeding. That is when they beat slowly inside the house, and they that produces a kind of current, and that water current, and that moves makes the water to move in the house, and so they filter the food particles. Now, about the alimentary canal, it starts with the anterior mouth region. See, here is the mouth region, and it leads to the large pharynx. And the pharynx, as expected, have a endostyle, short endostyle in the floor. It is having pharyngeal, peripharyngeal bands also, and have a pair of gill slits. They do not have the dorsal lamina on the roof of the pharynx. And the gill slits, we could see that since we know that the larvaceae or the appendicularia class, they do not have a atrium, this gill slits, up to a pair of gill slits will be opening directly to the exterior. And the gill slits are short, it is ciliated, and it is ventral to the position. Now, the nervous system, we can see that they possess a tubular nerve cord. It originates anteriorly at the dorsal ganglia near the mouth region, and it extends to the tip of the tail region. Other than that, they are having the otocyst as a sense organ, and it is also present close to the dorsal ganglion. About the reproduction, except for the largest Oikopleura dioica species, all other are hermaphrodite. That means male and the female gonads present in the same body. And as we could see in the picture, the structures are present, the gonads are present to the hind end of the body. About the reproduction, they show sexual reproduction, and the gametes are shed directly into the surrounding water. But then here we can see that testis will acquire an opening, which we call it as gonopore during maturity, and the sperms will be released through this opening first from the body. Later on, the ovary become mature and it releases the ova, but then the ovary does not have any opening, so it releases the ova by the rupturing of the body wall, which may lead to the death of the organism. So now the male gamete and the female gamete in the water, and fertilization take place. And an interesting feature, as we said earlier, this organism we believe that might have developed from the other tunicates by neoteny, so that these organisms retain all the larval character, that is the presence of the tail, the nerve cord, tubular nerve cord, the notochord in the adult stage too. So this is nothing but the oikopleura, which we believe to be developed from the other tunicates by the phenomenon of neoteny. Thank you.